Well, Donald Trump and the Republican Party are taking the stage this week at the Republican National Convention, virtually, not in Charlotte or Jacksonville, and they're making big claims to represent working-class Americans, to be facing down so-called globalist elites, to be draining the swamp of the entire taxonomy of lobbyists, consultants, and lawyers that do corporate bidding in the capital of Washington, D.C. Trump says that unlike other politicians, he's too rich to be bought. But how does this match Trump's own record? What corporations and donors are funding his campaign efforts? Well, you might not be surprised to learn that it is actually, in fact, a roll call of the same elites that Trump claims to be standing up against. And here's just a little taste of some of the largest donors. And this is actually just a drop in the bucket. Republicans and Democrats and their respective donors will spend much, much more up and down the ticket. But to give you this take, we take a look at the main super PAC of the Trump campaign. Now, super PACs are an entity that allow major donors to avoid spending limits and cut very, very large multi-million-dollar checks. Now, the principal super PAC that is backing Trump is America First Action. And the biggest check they've gotten, at least since January of 2019, comes from Timothy Mellon, who's already dropped $10 million into their account. Now, Mellon's name may ring a bell because he is the scion of one of America's oldest and richest billionaire families, the grandson of notorious robber baron Andrew Mellon. And Mellon is a major railroad mogul in his own right. He says in his autobiography that he made a fortune in the railway industry by, among other things, knocking 3 out of every 5 freight crew workers off the job and onto unemployment. And just for good measure, in the same book, he also compares food stamps and the Affordable Care Act to slavery. Now, another big check came from Stephen Schwarzman, a Wall Street billionaire, head of the private equity firm Blackstone. Schwarzman is said to be worth a cool $17 billion, and he gave $3 million worth of that to America First Action earlier this year. Schwarzman is also no real friend of the working class. In fact, he's a plutocrat of the old-fashioned type. He called a 2010 plan to raise taxes slightly on carried interest akin to Hitler's invasion of Poland. Dana White, yep, that Dana White, the head of UFC, dropped $1 million into AFA coffers. UFC, working person's type of sport, right? Well, Dana White only sees his workers as pawns. UFC keeps 85% of the earnings just about from the fights, and White uses his dictatorial control to force fighters to do whatever he wants and has aggressively worked to crush every single union drive ever attempted, even joining with companies like Uber to misclassify workers to keep from paying them fairly. Billionaire real estate developer Jeffrey Palmer has given America First Action $6 million so far this year. Palmer, over the years, has gained the title of LA's worst developer. Palmer has gone all out to prevent real rent control. He's gone to court to eliminate affordable housing requirements in new developments. He's been accused of illegally keeping millions of dollars in people's security deposits, and he's built units in such an environmentally unsafe way that they gained the moniker Black Lung Lofts. So there you have it, just a taste of Trump's biggest backers. Well, the RNC this week is going to present Trump as the candidate of the working man. Standing behind him are the same old bunch of thieves, swindlers, Wall Street tycoons, and union busters that have been cheating working class people out of a decent standard of living and throwing money at the parties for decades.